Okay, so today's training topic is the RPM. And while we're pretty familiar with the RPM in general and all its concepts and utilization, we're going to break it down so we're more comfortable and gain proficiency in the total picture. So, like I was trying to get at before, the RPM has a 3-to-1 mechanical advantage as part of the raising system. We're pretty comfortable with that. It also has a brake bar rack for a lowering system, and we're pretty comfortable with that as well. But sometimes where we have a little bit of a sticking point is the changeover. So this drill is supposed to be a quick, easy way just to work on the proficiency of the changeover itself. So we're going to go from a raising system to a lowering system and back to a raising system, and we can keep repeating that as many times as necessary to gain the proficiency we're looking for. So in this case, this could be a one-person drill. We have a simulated load over here in the gym of 195 pounds. We've already raised it up with our mechanical advantage, so now we're ready to do our changeover. First part is take our mechanical advantage out of the picture. So I'm going to go remove the mechanical advantage pulley.
Engine 8192 Medical Aid 2411 Branch Creek, Apartment 1, map grid G9.
As we remove that, now we can also remove any unloaded carabiners. So the load is all through the mariners and the pressic, so we can remove this other pulley for the change of direction and get that out of our way. That's one of the nice parts about having two carabiners at the end of our mariner. Then we take the rope, put it into our lowering device, make sure we take all the tension out, or excuse me, take all tension in so we have all the slack out, and we start loading up our bars. As we add our bars, be sure not to lose any tension. And because every time we use the RPM, we're going to assume or simulate, in this case, that we're going to be acquiring a rescue load, so we're going to use all the bars. And once we have all the bars in place, we're going to use one of our acceptable methods of tying it off. Now we're ready to make some of our changeover. Again, you'll look at the collection plate, and right now it's all resting on the raising system. What we want to do from a collection plate standpoint is get that rotation, capture it with the lowering device, which we just did, and we're going to watch that transition and rotation over to the lowering device. So in order to do it this way, we're just going to take our carabiner out of the mariners, pull that bite through, and as we remove wraps, we're reducing the friction. As the friction gets reduced, depending on the weight of our load, we're going to start to see that changeover. And again, we're going to watch that collection plate to watch the changeover happen. So now we just went from our raising system completely to our lowering system. Last step is to take out this pressic. And remove that completely from the rope, and now we're all on the lowering system. We can then untie our lowering device and be ready for a lower. Because this is a changeover drill, we're now going to switch back from our lowering system over to our raising system. So our first step is going to be to reestablish our mariners. So we get that nice and cleaned up. A couple rules of thumb for reestablishing your mariners is you're going to want to get these about 12 inches long, give or take, and then put a minimum, I would say, of 4 wraps. You usually get 4 to 5 in there to have the appropriate amount of friction. At the end, we'll take a bite, pass it through, and then connect the bitter end to the bite that we just passed through. And now our mariners is all set to go. We reconnect with our pressic cord into that mariners, lock off our carabiner, set the pressic, again taking all the slack out of the system, making sure that making sure that pressic is nice and tight, ready to grab the rope. Then we come back, untie our brake bar rack, remove the brake bar from the equation. As we go into a slow lower, should only be a couple of inches, because again we're watching the transition here. And there you have yet another changeover from the lowering device over to a raising system. And the last thing we would need to do here to make our raising system is simply make our Z-rig like we normally do. Put our change direction pulley in, remove our mechanical advantage pulley in, attach it with the press cord, and on you would go. But again, at this point, depending on how comfortable you're feeling, without worrying about making the 3-to-1, we could then go and put all that stuff back on the collection plate and do yet another changeover from the raising system back to the lowering system. And you can repeat that as many times as you need, because again, this is just a small piece of a much larger picture. And what we're doing with this quick drill and with limited staffing and a simulated load is working on the changeover as many times as you need. We'll have other training videos out there to work on the 3-to-1 or working on just a lowering device, whether it be an 8-plate or brake bar rack. But again, here we have a quick and easy proficiency drill on working the changeover back and forth, raise to lower, lower to raise, and as many times as you feel is necessary.